Virtual reality.
Okay, Olivia and Mikey, Danny and I, we're really excited to chat because, like we were mentioning before this call started, we've been getting into the Maven situation, and it seems like a really cool app. It seems like a great way for influencers to spread their wings and fly even further than they already are. Can you just, I guess, Olivia, tell us how the app kind of works, and then Mikey, tell us what your experience has been with the app, because you obviously have a following and you want to, utilize that and make it even bigger, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. The more the merrier.
Yeah, so I have been in the influencer space for over 10 years. So I managed influencers. I was really early to the influencer space in general. I believed in it that long ago, and it became a focal service that my agency offered. And it just got to this point where we were so frustrated at how many pain points and manual tasks it took to accomplish one thing. So it's like I'm upkeeping my database on a Google Doc, trying to keep track where Mikey is, even though he's all over the place. And I don't know how I'm going to ever ship him things because he's on tour so much. And then I finally nail him down to do a job with us. And it's like, okay, sign your contract on DocuSign, email us your W-9. I'm going to get you, a brief. And then you send us the content in a Dropbox. And it's like, how many different forms of technology are we going to use just to get one thing done? And then don't even tell me we have feedback. Then I got to go back and do even more. And then it's like, oh, screenshot your insights. And there was just so much that hadn't really been solved from an end-to-end solution type of way. Did a bunch of research, realized that everybody kind of missed the ball here. And as an operator for so long, I really wanted to look at all sides, the creator, the brand, fellow agencies like myself. And it's like, how are we actually saving ourselves time, energy, to making this an easier route, because the creator economy is not going anywhere. So that was kind of the back end on how this came to be. So we built the platform from April of 22 to December of 22 and launched January of 23.
Wow, so it's all new. Okay, so Mikey, obviously it sounds like this is a way to make your life easier and things happen much more efficiently. What has your experience been like using Maven?
Yeah, so for me, I've actually gotten to kind of use it on both sides. So one on being on the influencer side and the other with having like my own business with Laval where we make bags where we would do a lot of things with influencer marketing. Uh, and I just found things with Maven just to be much easier. It almost would feel like more of like having like a concierge service for your influencer marketing. Um, Personally, like I've done like tons of campaigns, like to Olivia's point, where it's just there's a lot of steps that are involved, and then also the relationships between the company that's being used to the influencer. um I would say that with Maven it feels like there's a much stronger tie from Maven to the influencer, which from an organization standpoint it makes things like much smoother, and I feel like you get more like mileage like out of your campaigns.
Yeah.
So like I've been able to use it for doing like I've been on tour with the Jonas Brothers, and I've been throwing after parties, and I've been really happy with how Maven's kind of helped me curate like an additional VIP list on top of what's going on with the shows, and kind of getting just like the right influencer paired with like coming out to like to the after parties and stuff like that. It's been cool.
Yeah, Olivia, I feel like this app really helps meeting influencers where they always are because I'm kind of curious because since you said you've been in this space for over a decade, so you've seen kind of the rise of it and how a lot of times older forms of media and marketing, they're trying to fit their square into like the circle of influencing. And do you feel like they've been more receptive of like, okay, it's all an app and it's like, I know apps, I don't know DocuSign, you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a lot of money that has been like left off the table because people are like, I don't know how to do a PDF, but I know how to do an app.
100%. I think the biggest, one of the bigger value props that I like to talk about is the fact that not only are we first and foremost like emphasizing quality, so we're making sure that the brands have a quality opportunity that's listed, and then the influencers also are selected on a really case by case basis, like they're applying to be on this platform. So for me to talk to a brand and say, all you have to do is put up an opportunity, because that's all they have to do. And then the creators come knocking on their door. We love putting the creator in the driver's seat to be discovered, where a lot of times they don't know who to message at said brand to get an opportunity to get in front of them. So, Mikey might not know these 10 people that want to come to his amazing, DJ set at the after party after the concert, but he's like, wow, I didn't know that Jennifer even existed. She's perfect. We should invite her. So the influencers are applying for consideration and at the same time being discovered by those brands.
Wow, that's really cool. But how do influencers pass the criteria? Like, how is this kind of like in a way, it's like feeling like
You're like
Ryan?
their Tyra Banks. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Raya meets America's Next Top Model.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are a very inclusive platform. I'm not somebody that's very fixated on followers. I've accepted somebody with 500 followers because we do a ton of user-generated content, which is one of the biggest things that we see now, brands coming to us and saying, we need authentic content. We need customer-looking, user-generated content. So that is a different art form than influencing. So we very much love accepting real content creators and people that can deliver differently than just somebody who's going to do a pay to play type of post. So I think my criteria is I like to look at a level of creativity, their engagement, where they're located, who recommended them. Lots of things go into it. We also have the technology behind it to know if their followers are real or fake and where they're based. So from a back end standpoint, we also take a look to make sure that they haven't been inauthentic. Because the last thing I want is to tell Mikey that this amazing person is coming, and then the post gets like 4 likes, and he's like, "What did you do? Why did I have this person do that?" So I'm looking out for less disappointment. I don't want the creators to apply, get in, and like be excited to do things and then not get a fulfilling experience. But I also don't want the brands to collaborate with the wrong influencers.
And then Mikey, what are some of the fun connections you've been able to make through Maven and getting some of these influencers out to your Joe Bros after parties? I'm sure you've met a lot of really cool people. And the Joe Bros community, we have so many Jonas
they
Brothers
are.
fans in this office right now. They were so excited that we were even talking to you. It's so fun, but I'm sure it's been fun to also bring the influencers into that community as well. Who's been fun that you've met through Maven?
Through Maven, I mean, I would say just collectively with all the influencers that come out, like to Olivia's point, I feel like it's not, I don't want to say like that they get like good like mileage out of them per se, but everyone just seems to be really into being there. Like you don't have the feeling like they're being paid to be there, like so to speak. So it really feels like it's curated properly. And like to Olivia's point, you can have someone that has like 1 million followers, but there could be someone that has like 500 followers that like those 500 people really care about what that person's posting and kind of being able to get that like nod of like approval. I'm able to kind of see like a fan base like grow more and more through like using Maven as opposed to like partnering with other influencer marketing.
I like that. Okay. And like you said, it's kind of like curating a vibe and curating a guest list, which is hard, and it's like a delicate dance. And I feel it's a dance similar to curating a collection of songs in an album. And one of our Joe Bros fans in the office said that you have been a little busy bee with Joe on his new album. They are forcing me, they are our boss. So they are forcing us to ask you, what can you tease about this upcoming album? Like, what's the vibe of it? How was working on it?
Well, so really with Joe's new album, I haven't been personally working on that one. But him and I have been like writing a bunch for my project. So yeah, we just have like a ton of stuff that's just kind of in the pipeline as I've been like carving out like the sound of where I've been taking stuff. So like a little bit of like the last remixes that I've put out, like most recently I did one with Lovely the band called Feel Like Summer. I'd say sonically it's going a little bit more in like a melodic house type of direction with some of the stuff. So it's been fun that as Joe and I have been traveling, like I've been doing some gigs overseas. So he's been out there hanging and supporting, and then we've been in the studio as well. And it's been a lot of fun because it's kind of the first time that we've really like worked on stuff together after like all these years of like being friends. So it's kind of been
That's so
enjoyable.
fun. What's the creative process like with someone who you've known for so long and have developed such a close relationship, but have never really worked together? Like when you finally start, were you like, oh, we should have been doing this the whole time?
I was just gonna say it's definitely like one of those things of like, wait, like why wasn't this happening sooner? Because even, I mean, for years, like we're like sharing playlists with each other and like, he'll be sharing and be like, oh, like you should DJ this song during like one of your sets. And like we both intuitively know what we both like and are into. So even like when we first started like sitting down, I was showing him some of the newer stuff I was like working on. I kind of already knew out of like 100 things that I've been working on, like, oh, I should probably show him these 10 because I know they're gonna like get him like kind of excited to kind of throw his hat in the ring, and just whether it's him just being more on like a producing side with some of the stuff, or like cutting some vocals on things. We just been throwing like a bunch of stuff like at the wall.
That's so, Olivia, are you a Jonas Brothers fan?
Of course. I
Okay.
mean, I kind of missed their era, but I met Mikey and Joe together. We actually calculated it was like 12 years ago in Miami, and we became friends. So I've fortunately been invited, thanks to Mikey, to a bunch of really great shows over the years, and had
Yeah.
some great experiences.
Well, we even used Maven for one of the Cup of Joes that we did in Florida over at the Oasis. Olivia helped us curate an amazing guest list for that, and then even with pairing with like some of the great like local vendors like Night Owl cookies and things like that, like to kind of backtrack, like getting some of those kind of relationships like that even helped me like key into more of like the local flavor of like Miami. It definitely made it much easier through the Maven app.
And this question could be for either of you because since this is so much with like events and going out, and it's like influencers, which could be high profile with high profile people or very chic events and fun stuff. What is like just like a lesson for everybody? What's like the immediate like no, don't do that at an event? You know what I mean? Because I'm sure the influencers, everyone's on their best behavior, but we've all been to events where you've seen someone being like, now you're a fool. Like, have you guys had run into anything? Is there a thing that maybe you've done that you're like, learn from me, kids, you know?
Don't try to get DJ lessons from me during my set. No, I'm kidding. I would say like the classic like act like you've been there before is sometimes a good mentality to have, because in general it just keeps everyone very relaxed, and it's like everyone's there kind of for the same reason. Like everyone wants to network and kind of meet someone new. So I think if you just keep things like respectful and not overbearing, of even like approaching like a business owner, like I probably shouldn't go to the Night Owl cookie guy and start begging him to like send me like a bunch of free cookies like every day. Maybe I got to play it a little cool and just start with a hey, how are you, appreciate the cookies, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I would echo that, but I'd also say like relationships in the influencer game is just so important, and you never know who you're going to run into at an event and who you're going to meet. And I always focus on long game, like how can I build a relationship with these event producers or the sponsor that's here, and not just make it like a short approach to like, oh, like Mikey said, like I need this, give me this. Like how are you like authentically like getting to know people so that you get invited to more
Mhm.
things because people actually like want you around? How are you making sure that they remember you? And it doesn't cost you anything to be really friendly and be really nice. So even sometimes like over posting or like overly being creative with what you want, like that's going to get the person noticed for the next time a little bit more.
That's such a smart thing too, because I feel there's so many blessings with influencer culture, but one of like the downfalls is because it's such an immediate reaction type thing, and just like generations now, everyone's like, oh, I want this right now. And if I have to wait a week, that's too long. But like you're saying, like the long game is kind of the more sustainable game for so many things.
Yeah, and I think that it's become so saturated, this influencer world. Everybody wants to be considered one, and it's such a weird word. I think a lot of the real influencers, don't like that. Just like somebody doesn't want to be an editor, you're a journalist, in a lot of ways. So I think to really stay true to your authentic self as an influencer, it's like also taking that step back and being like, well, I'm going to this event, yes, because I love this artist or this, alcohol brand I'm excited about to work with. Like, how are you standing out? Also, when you're posting from this event, like if you just do some generic content, the brand might be like, okay, cool, da da da. But someone that's, wow, they took the time, they really got creative. They made sure to message us directly with something really nice and friendly, and not just me. What can you do for me? And I think that will take somebody the extra mile in being noticed by a brand to do more frequent things with those folks.
No, Mikey, I saw you DJ in Brooklyn. I think it was like maybe 12 or more years ago. It was a long time
Yeah.
ago. And this was before influencer culture was really like a thing like it is today. At what
Mhm.
point did you sort of realize you had an opportunity to sort of build a following and become an influencer yourself? Did you sort of like weigh in your mind, like, do I really want to do this? Because I mean, Maven makes it easier, but before Maven
Mhm.
came along, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely a lot of legwork. I mean, my personal angle with it was always like, okay, I have this like skill where I can DJ, so like how can I try to partner with as many brands essentially as I can, so then it would like parlay its way into, you know, doing like activations and all of that stuff. It is pretty wild to see like how much like that landscape has like changed over time with like, influencer marketing and all of that. Um, but um I'm trying to think where I just lost my train of thought. You were asking how much it's changed like since then,
Yeah, and like
essentially, or
when you sort of realized you kind of wanted to go full force with it.
I think when I was continually like getting booked for stuff and was like, oh wow, I can like make a living like doing this. And then like and for me too, like it was always a part of like a bigger plan of like just wanting to be back in music like full time, which is now like over the last year and a half, I've like really started to hone in more on like producing and making music again, because I know like that's what really like kind of changes the landscape of like, of like being like an artist essentially is like the type of music that you have coming out.
It's so interesting too, because that was a field typically much more you got to be behind the scenes where you're like, I
No.
do all like the nuts and bolts, and then you go sing it and you go get all the attention, like you get the
Yeah.
headlines, you get everything. But now, because of how like technology and social media works, everybody is so like, even if you are like behind the scenes, you're a high profile person kind of with it. So do you have anything that's like a boundary? Because I know a lot of influencers are like, I'm not gonna show my kids, not gonna show my husband, not gonna da, da, da. Is there,
Mhm.
you're like, that's forever ever gonna be off limits?
Um, yeah, I guess like certain things with like sometimes like with like family, like I'll keep some of that like a little broad. Things with like relationships, I like to keep that like more on like the private side. But I'd say like past that, I'm pretty much like an open book. Um, yeah, I feel like for the most part, I'm an open book with things.
Olivia, how does that work within the Maven infrastructure? Do you encourage your influencers to be open about everything? Do you like do you care if they share their kids or this or that, or is you just kind of like leave it up to them?
No, I'm pro being your best you, right? So I want to make sure that we're building a community of all ranges of people. Like I want the great nail lady. I want the magician, like I want people that are so focused on being their best at themselves. So if you're not comfortable posting something, chances are it's not going to perform pretty well, right? So leaning in on what you're best at and what you want to be known for. I think sometimes it's just everyone's too broad. It's like you do fashion, you do beauty, you do food, you do this. It's like, no, like you'll see the more successful influencers are the ones that have really like grasped at a niche and been like, this is what I'm going to do. And this is why people are going to follow me because I'm the best at this.
Yeah, so and obviously with DJing, you're such a great DJ. You're always on the road. You're always
Thank
booked
you.
and busy, Mikey, and you're going on the road again with the Jonas Brothers. I think in September the new tour kicks off. How are we feeling?
Yeah.
What can we
I'm
teach?
s- I'm super super excited for it. I know like we have some makeup dates in Mexico that we're doing the end of August. Then I have some things for Fashion Week that I'm getting queued up for. And then I think September 10th or 11th we kick things off and we hit a bunch of spots in Europe and out there. Like I have a bunch of different like after parties that are getting locked in with some different clubs and all of that. So I'm looking forward to it. I know it'll be a lot because I'm noticing in the schedule that like we don't have like many days in between off, but just need a lot of vitamin C.
That's even harder when you have after parties after the shows. Like there's
Yeah,
really you
That's
even have
the
less days
party.
left than you're allowed. Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
party.
yeah. And then I potentially I think like with like Joe's like new project as well. We're talking about me maybe like putting out like a remix for him. So we'll see if that comes into fruition. But I'm looking forward to just getting more new music as well, just while I'm out there.
Do you know what song from the new project you would remix?
I have a few that are already wrapped up, and we're kind of
Oh,
just we're just chatting.
they're
We're
under
just
the
chatting.
tree. Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing it feels good, and then I have like another two tracks of my own that I'm basically just kind of deciphering which one's gonna come out by either September or mid-October.
That's it.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. You were saying that
Yeah.
Joe is helping you with your new stuff. Do you feel like his sound for the album is sort of in alignment with the stuff that you're coming out with, or how would you describe his sound versus what the direction you're going in?
I think I would say it's very different because like what I'm doing is more like, geared to like house and dance music and all of that. I think like, probably from what you heard from the track, like Work It Out that he put out is just more of more of his own sound that he's doing.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Well, I mean, I feel like we could talk to you guys forever about all these questions we got about
I
influencer
know.
market. Like it's like so fascinating, honestly. Like I didn't realize I didn't need 1,000 bajillion followers to maybe sign up for me. So I'm gonna download it right now.
Really don't. Yeah.